Alright then, finally got that set up. Just get this organized. This. Alright then. Just forgot to grab the link. Yeah, I was fiddling around with multi-streaming because I decided to get that. So yeah, I was fiddling around with the settings to set that up. So sorry for being late. Alright, now we can get back to working on this. All that's really left is to either add a little bit of lighting to the ink or just get started on the background. So let me see if there's anything with the ink that I want to mess with. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing alright. So from this point on, I should be dual streaming to YouTube and Twitch at the same time now. And I might have a multi-stream tab now that I think about it. Let me just make sure everything's good. Count that as your bathroom break? Yeah, pretty much. So, grab that. So how is everybody today? Still testing things, so if I miss what you're saying, that's because I have a multi-stream chat open right now. But if I don't see, I still have like the main chat screen on the big part, so I'll be looking when I feel that I'm missing something. Right now I'm just adding some lighting to this. Probably won't be necessary really, but I'm gonna do it anyway. There we go, I can see. That's good. Glad you're drawing. Always good to draw. Okay, I can close that. Now you're in both chats. Yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a while. Just finally set some of the time to try to set it up. Took me a bit because it wasn't working at first, and I was like trying to figure out why it wasn't working. And it was only just because I had like one setting checked that didn't need it, or that didn't need to be checked. So once I turned that off, it started working. So that's why it took me a while. And also, good to know that you're on Twitch because the chat box is showing both chats, so good. That's a good thing. If I can make the chat box a little more fancy, then we'll try that, but baby steps here. But good, I can see both chats, and it shows up on stream. You got less delay. Yeah, I figure it's gonna happen. I'll have to figure out the settings for that to see if I can lessen the delay. So when I get there, I'll get there. But this is not bad for our first time. All right, I think I pretty much did everything necessary on this. Let's see what happens if I change it to this. Let's try screen. That's it. Interesting. So if I lock this and use this. Let's try this for a moment. Sorry, I'm experimenting. Because we used glow dodge before. No. Glow dodge, glow. No. Let's try 30%. I think I'm gonna remove this. I like just the black ink part the most. Just keep it dark. Yeah. Okay, I was just messing around with that. Alright, we'll get to working on the background. She does have 3 piercings. It's in her tongue. They're just really dark because of the black around them. But if I turn it off, you can see it. She has metal piercings in her tongue. They're just wrapped around in the black ink. Alright, so let's add a layer for the background. Hello, hello, welcome. when you're short and Watermelon walks up to you, right? Like, you could play hide and seek with her and just hide underneath her chest. Alright, so give me a line layer for this. Let's let's put Jam out in a folder so that way it's easier to do this. Leave her at 50% for now. That should be fine. Alright. Does that make it thinner? 6 for now. Hello, hello. Welcome. One thing, gotta practice more drawing different eye styles. Yeah, this is just the eye style I ended up with, and this is like a blend of like Sonic and Yu-Gi-Oh! So most of the time you see it like this, it's like more towards Yu-Gi-Oh! But like the pupils are more Sonic-ish. But then for certain characters I do Sonic style. So it just depends on the character and depends on what I'm doing with the eyes. Alright, so let's do that. Let's let this go out here. I'm bad at perspective, so bear with me on this. Yeah, I realized after a certain point the piercings on her tongue kind of blended in with the ink, but I was like, it's fine. It's like, it's fine. And that's actually too far out. Let's shorten the distance. Yeah, like most of the time I'm looking at like, let me see if I can find it because I know I have examples. Concept art. Computer's got to wake up for a moment. Got a bot in Twitch chat. Hold on a moment. Hold on, let me go to my Twitch screen. Do dashboard. It's been a while since I've been on here. Where is it? That's not it. Where is it? Stream Manager, there we go. Okay, who are we looking at? Thank you. AI viewer, Steam, something. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Yo. I don't know, you seem kind of sus. Where are the commands? It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, I'm just gonna delete the message for now, but if it comes up weird again, then I'll knock it out. There we go. It's like, Joanne, eat it. Nom nom. I wonder if I could... Next time I'll have to see if I can do that on Steam Lab. Doesn't look like I can. I think I'll have to have the window open for that. Okay, good to know. Good to know. See, this is how we learn. Alright. Oh yeah, I almost forgot what I was doing. Yu-Gi-Oh, where are you? So yeah, like, one of the examples would be like how Merrick looks with his eyes when he does something like that. So there's like that as an example. What's another good one? It's mostly just like the... Let me see, this one. Nah, not that one. It's mostly just like the emotionless glare type of look. And then like I mix in a bit of like Sonic-ishness to it, so it gives you those bedroom eyes that the female Sonic characters usually give. Oh yeah, here's another good one. So something like this, the way Merrick has just like those empty, like death-looking eyes moments, and then the psychotic parts. So yeah, stuff like that. And then for the Sonic examples, open that real quick. Sonic. I'll just pick Rouge. She's like the easiest one to point out. Where's the classic one? There you are. So with Rouge, you know, she just has like the bedroom eyes type of thing going. So yeah. Just kind of tried to mix the two in a way. It's not like complicated or anything, but get mods for chats in the future. I'll think about that. Been meaning to do that, but it's been, I mean, I haven't touched Twitch in like months or probably over a year now. So yeah, Mind Control Joey's another good example. But yeah, I always like that expression, so that's why I give it to a lot of my characters when necessary. And then I try to switch up the eyes depending on the character, or depending on the situation. So like empty would mean like they're either mind controlled or just kind of like dead inside, where they're like no longer there consciously. They're just like letting their body go through the motions so they can like detach themselves from the horrible things that are likely happening to them. And then of course there's the robot characters, so I change up how their eyes look so that way we can tell the difference between a machine and a organic. Let me put this on another layer, that way it's easier to copy these. Right now I'm just kind of setting up the base for this. Yeah, Strings was a really good example. The character with Slifer. Yeah, Strings was really cool. Especially in one of the episodes, there's like a shot where his eyes like squint for a moment and then roll downwards when he's looking at his dual disc. I really love that animated scene. In the manga, he's just like really like lost. Like you can tell that he's not there and that his body is just on autopilot. Because in the manga, they explain that Strings had killed his parents, and out of guilt, he basically just put himself into like a self-made coma. Like he's just not there anymore consciously. And so Merrick just controls his body without any problems because he's literally like a mindless doll. He's just no longer there anymore. Yeah, I don't know if he actually had a name in the Japanese version, but they just called him the doll a lot of times, and then they call him Strings. I think either in the English manga or only in the English anime. This is big episode again. Yeah, yeah. In in the Japanese version, after Yuki beats Seeker, the guy with the Exodia pieces, um, in the English version, he just, makes it look like, oh, I can control people, blah, 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 look what I can do, and just, moves his body around. In the Japanese version, it's a lot more twisted because he's all like, oh, don't worry about this. I'm not actually here. See, I'm just moving his body, and he like moves his body in a way where it literally looks like he's just. I mean, it's the same animation in both contexts, but the way he explains it in the Japanese version makes it look like he's like dangling his body by his head type of thing. Like you understand the concept a lot better the way he explains it in the Japanese version. It's really trippy. Because once you understand how he explains it, you're like, oh, that's how he's moving his body. That's not right. Because at first you just see him flip around, and you're just like, oh, okay, he's just being menacing. But it's like, no, that's not how it works. And then he explains it, and I was like, oh, that's disturbing. I don't think we need that part of this. And then we're just gonna have it like a big giant wall. But yeah, I always like, because it was always done by a specific animator during those episodes. Because basically the really high quality episodes, let me see if I have his name here, because I know I made a folder for him. Was it this guy? Need to find his artwork. Hard to tell if that's him. Let me take a look. No, that's not him. Is it this one? Because the episodes with the really high quality are the ones where it's done by a very specific anime. Ah, here we go. I think his name is Hidekazu Ebina. He's the one that does the art styles like this. Let me bring it up. So he's the one that does these type of shots. So every time you see the animations go like stupidly crazy hard, that's that person's animation and art style. So like you can just tell the quality jump when they do that stuff. And here's like another example. Like that. So yeah, they're the ones responsible for that. And it's been around for like most of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if it's still being done now for the Chronicles or not. Most of Marcy's story. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, right now I'm just setting up for this. Because obviously a lot of this I'm going to fix once I get it going. There we go. Yeah, that animator is really good. They had him come back for Dark Side of Dimensions and all that. But yeah, all the like hyper detailed animations in Yu-Gi-Oh was done by that person and whatever team they were part of. And they've done some of the iconic scenes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like they did the ceremonial battle, they've done the Merrick duels, they've done the strings duel, or one of them. Because like it's always like some of the episode and not all of it, or like some of the patches of episodes and not like the whole event. So it's usually like the more intense moments. Because Dragon Ball does the same thing, where the episodes where not much is going on, the animation and art style changes, and they you know, lower the quality because of budget reasons and stuff like that. So they usually save like the high quality animations for the bigger moments. So yeah, I mean a lot of animation studios do that. Even in the West, there was a time back in the 90s where you would have like, you know, typical cartoon episodes and stuff like that, but every once in a while you just have like a really detailed episode, and that's because they would hire Japanese artists or animators and artists to help out, because they did that with Batman, they did that with X-Men. I don't know if they did it with Spider-Man or not. Alright. Might as well do this part if I can. Like this. Whatever needs fixing, I can do it when I get there. Just kind of setting up like the... Just kind of blocking out what I want. Because some of this stuff we're not going to see because it'll be behind Jam. I think this is fine. If there's anything else I want to add, I can just do it as I'm going about. Yeah, one of the stream, maybe next week or something if I can. Well, next week I might be occupied because real life stuff. But might as well just flatten all this. But yeah, one of these streams we'll just have to take, you know, making another outfit for Becky. Maybe I'll make a vote on what kind of outfit or something, or let people suggest something and see if there's any ideas I might like. So yeah. This uneven on purpose. Actually, I should probably pull it out this way so you can see how it works. Or even just, is there a goth Becky? I mean, she's technically goth already, but we can go harder. And then we can always like switch avatars. Like I don't have to. It doesn't have to be solely Becky. It can be a different character too. It would just take time to make another character. over there, because it doesn't matter what's inside. Let's bring this up a bit more. Nah, that doesn't look right. Egyptian goth? Maybe. I'd have to look at some outfits to see if I can make something decent. Hello, hello, welcome. I'll try to make these pipes a little messed up. So I'm gonna have like one of their hinges or clamps or whatever they're called broken. Kind of like as if people were like, you know, using these to climb or something at some point. Obviously not Jam, because we all know her heavy ass would just break the damn thing. Queen of Denial. Ah. Yeah, at some point I'll need to do Becky's story, the one that I've had planned for like several years now. I think I've had her story planned since I had one, so like for over 10 years at this point. Just a matter of getting to it. Just like everything else that I'm doing. I used to do this a lot. I don't do this as much anymore, of adding like random scratches and stuff. But I need to get in the habit of doing this again. I wanted to draw her sitting on a trash can, but it was like, nah, that ain't happening. I can always put like trash over here. I just want to look like she's loitering. Like she's on some like, maybe not like a rooftop, but like just like a level of like some random apartment buildings or something. Just to kind of look like she's in some spot she probably shouldn't be, or someone would get annoyed if they found out she was looming around out there. But since I put a broken window here, I guess this is like an area that's just like not being well taken care of. I have like a few more cracks. Actually, just fix that. There we go. So yeah, she can just be sitting her happy ass in this area. Back in 2019, watch the videos. Oh yeah, I saw that video. It was honestly simple. Like all they did was just use like clay animation type of stuff to make it look more violent than it was. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if a rated R version of Willy Wonka came out at some point. It'd be interesting. If anything, I'm more curious on if they would do the type of scenes that I would imagine that they would do for certain characters. Because I would be curious on if they went all out or not, or if they would go all out or not. But that is a reality that probably won't happen realistically, which is why people have to make their own versions. Like Ridiculous Cake has theirs. Sitting on an old grease barrel behind a restaurant. Yeah, it'd be like she's sitting here, you know, hanging out with her. Like this, like imagine this is like a goth universe or whatever. I mean, actually, this is kind of what they would do normally, honestly. But like, this is just them chilling, and you know, Jam's a little more loose with her, and not being such a tight ass. And they're all just hanging out. She's sitting on some like dumpster barrels or whatever. And by the time they leave, she gets up and hers is just like crumpled up and almost destroyed. It's like half the size that it was initially, because of how long she was sitting on it. Yeah, I just got the simulcast thing, so I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch now at the same time. Figured, why not? Better to do both than not. Alright. Put like a random plant here, just to kind of spread it out. Oh, you know, it should be like a little bit more wilted. Like it's been a good while since anyone's done anything over here.
should probably be a little bit more curved.
Who the wonders of technology ever sees. Hopefully not, but hopefully they get to a point where humanity can use them responsibly and ethically. Because some technologies are fucking us over. Not entirely in a bad way, but bad enough for it to matter. It's like, guys, we had something cool, why are you ruining it? I mean, we're done for once the sex bots are finally perfected. Sex bots and cat girls. Once they figure that out, we're screwed. Because if you can get a cat girl, you can get a fox girl, and if you can get a fox girl, you can get a deer girl, and then the list just goes on. That implies humanity has enough common sense to do that. Unfortunately, no. Some will, but not the people that need it. Fox girls are better. Lord help us if there was ever a body pillow of Joanne. This is a big old noodle. I think I'm gonna try to do a texture for that, for the bricks. This is all going to be trial and error. That part, I'll just slowly migrate over. I know I can always use the line tool for this, but I kind of like the unevenness. Like, I always like a gritty art style where it's like not exactly smooth, but not like completely scribbly. Just rough. Doesn't have to be cleaned up or anything. Not to like a super clean. Not in like a, oh, here's the line art, and then I'm just gonna draw over it and make it smooth type of mentality. Like doing this, and then here's like the eye, and I'm making it like really, really, really smooth. Trying to make it like that. Like you guys know what I'm talking about. Just close this up just in case. Sometimes you just gotta close up spots just in case it matters. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much how it'd be. Because anytime we get anything good that's like, oh cool, we finally got a good idea, there's always going to be a group of people that take advantage of the situation, fuck it up for everybody else, and then they end up removing it, changing it, nerfing it, getting banned, or whatever. Like with the mature content on Twitch thing, it was like, as like I remember as soon as that came up, you guys were like, oh Viro, you can do blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, wait a week, and not even a day later, it got fucked up, and they immediately went back on the idea because dumbasses thought, oh, I'm gonna stream my avatar naked for the whole stream, and I'm just like, guys, that's not at all what they meant. And they meant for artwork mostly, but what they did just ruined it for everybody. So not even the artists got to benefit from it. So that's why you can't give idiots the keys to the kingdom. But again, a lot of this can be solved by just having an actual mature version of the site. And just make them separate. It's like, okay, here's the normal site, regular YouTube and Twitch, and then here's YouTube Dark and Twitch Dark, or whatever you want to call it. Or not even, or don't even give them the same name. Just make up an entirely different site name, but they're obviously owned by the same companies. And then there you go, because Disney does that all the time with their other branded companies when they want to do experimental movies that they're not sure would be good to be under the Disney name. Because remember, Pirates of the Caribbean was not originally under the Disney name, it was under Touchstone. I weep for the direction we're headed. So much potential and so many things we could do, and we throw it all away for fools. Yeah. It's like with the whole AI thing, where as soon as AI was starting to get a lot better with their tech and all that, immediately companies thought, oh, okay, we can just not hire a whole bunch of people anymore, and then so they let a bunch of people go, not realizing the extent of what AI could do at the time. And they had to like rehire and shit like that and panic and blah blah blah. And then they're slowly realizing that it's costing more money to use AI than it is to hire people, because they didn't give it enough time to like work itself out and get optimized. They just immediately thought, oh, we can get rid of people now. And I'm like, damn, you guys didn't even give it a chance to work itself out. And plus, you're always going to need somebody, because somebody has to moderate if you're going to go full AI. And even then, full AI is not even a good idea, because it's still very inconsistent. Like, you can't even get locations correctly. Like, we're already past the whole having multiple hands thing, but still the animation is bad because it's always at the same speed. It's more like, it's like slowed down live action. It's like the best way to put it. Like, not slow motion, but just like slower frame rate, you can tell immediately. AI could have been a useful tool. Now we have old men in suits shoveling lumps of... Yeah, exactly. One time I saw a vid explaining how some movies are intended to be a singular story, while others intended for continuity. Yeah, exactly. Pirates of the Caribbean was originally just a Touchstone movie that they did based off of the ride. And it ended up doing very well, which is why it's now under the Disney name instead of Touchstone. And then because the writing was really well done, they were able to make sequels and stuff like that. Like Pirates of the Caribbean is just a really good example of a test movie where they're not sure if it's going to go well, so they put it under a different name, and then it does well. They reveal that, you know, it's Disney and stuff. Well, not even reveal, they just make it a part of Disney without having to say anything. They just put it there, and then continues to be a success. It's like they did it right. They tested it, it got good, and then there we go. So do the same thing with like mature content in terms of like websites and streaming and stuff like that. Put it under a different name if you don't have the balls to use your own name for it. So like if YouTube doesn't want to do it, they can call it I don't know, call it Squirrels. Call it Squirrels TV. There we go. Or Twitch TV would be like as if Twitch it's Baldy. He's like, oh, dude, you're gonna stream on Baldy? Like, there we go. Like, just give him some other name, so that way people don't know it's like. I mean, nowadays they can probably figure it out because, you know, people are just very detective based on how they can figure out information and stuff like that nowadays. But still, like, just put it under a different name if you're not 100% on it. And then when it does well and people figure out that it's under the same name, you're like, yeah, and then you just have two different sites. You have the sites for adults and the sites for everybody else. I wouldn't even, like, a part of me wanted to say for kids and all that, but I'm like, no, because YouTube is technically not for kids. It's supposed to be for teens and up, but we keep treating it like it's supposed to be for kids because we keep trying to add in family-friendly bullshit. And I'm like, that's fine, but have the ability to block off sections. So it's like, okay, if you're part of this group, you can't see this particular set of content because it's for older people or something. I don't know. I feel we have right answer. Yeah, like they literally have YouTube Kids and don't know how to use it. Don't know how to utilize it. Parents apparently don't know how to fucking use it. Like, we literally made a whole section for kids, and they went tits up. Like, they barely pay attention to it. All it really is just regular YouTube with the comments turned off. There's sometimes moderation depending on how crazy a situation gets, like with Elsagate and all that. But other than that, YouTube Kids is virtually untouched as a secondary. Yeah, a lot of parents treat their kids like pets, which is weird. Well, some pets get treated better than kids, honestly. But yeah, like designer bag actually makes more sense. It's like they went through the effort of having kids, but then they, you know, just tell them to shut up, to be quiet and watch their videos or watch their iPad nowadays. Which is really sad. And I had to point this out to one of my friends where I was like, well, you do understand that by the age of like 2 or 3, her kids and even one of her nephews was like already aware of how to press the skip button. So that's how you know that they were screwed at that point. It's like, look, if your kid already knows how to press the skip button at the age of 2, then we're screwed. But they are trying to like have them have the iPads less and less, but I don't think it's working, honestly. I think they just give it to them when they're annoyed or just want them to go away. But I don't know. Not my problem. That's if they even allow them to be born in the first place. Most of the time they do get born because people don't want to be responsible and take the other option if they don't feel like they're up for having kids. Most of the time they're like, no, let's have kids, blah blah blah, and then they're like, oh my god, this is so annoying, I don't want to, or, you know, push them onto their parents while they go party and whatever bullshit. Or worse is where you have the parents that have kids but kind of act like they don't have kids at all. and like only do the bare minimum. So depends on the. I mean, obviously not all modern parents are like this, but it's unfortunate of how common these situations are. But yeah, like not all of them do this stuff, but it's sad that it exists in the first place. I think I'm more pissed off at the parents that purposely take out loans and stuff under their kids' names, and then rack up the credit or the debt, and then when their kid finally turns 18 and they're trying to like move out and get an apartment or something, they can't because their parents just put them in like a whole bunch of debt, and they have to like jump through hoops just to get out of it. Like those situations, I'm like, what the hell? I'm probably talking too loud. I'll try to calm down a bit. But yeah, every time I hear about those situations, I'm just like, what was the plan here? You just want your kids to hate you? And then there are parents that feel that they are deserving to be taken care of by their kids in certain situations. Like, it's like, well, I took care of you until you were 18, so you should be taking care of me now. And I'm like, if your kid can't do that, then you should not be trying to force that on them or guilt trip them. But we know how it goes. So, I mean, it just boils down to the relationship between kids and their parents. So, again, nothing I can do about it because it's none of my business when those moments happen. So, hopefully, those are dealt with properly. Yeah, that is a thing where parents have taken loans and stuff like that under their kids' names because, you know, the parents will have their social security and stuff like that. And then buy or get loans doing whatever, and then by the time the kid, you know, is an adult and, you know, about to go do something in the world, they find out, oh, sorry, you can't rent a house because you built up a whole bunch of credit or racked up a bunch of credit or whatever the case may be, under these loans and stuff like that. And they're like, what the hell? Like, I wasn't even 18 when that happened. How the hell did this happen? And then you find out that their parents did that. So that's disturbing to know. And then there'd be the types of parents where that would say like, well, my life was hard, so your life should be hard too, and purposely put their kids in bad situations just because it happened to them, and that's it. Like, that's the only logic. And I'm like, that's the fastest way to lose your relationship with your kid. It's like, really? And it's even more disturbing of how common that is. Back in my day, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like, for like a lot of modern kids now, or like Gen Z or whatever gen, they're having a hard time, you know, finding jobs and stuff like that. And then you have like the boomer generation, or at least some of them, trying to say like, well, back when I was your age, I went out and got a job at 18 or 16, or I already had a house at age 21 or whatever the case may be. And I was like, congratulations, everything was cheaper back then and you made more money. Well, and you know, you're able to invest in stuff that didn't take off yet until nowadays, where they're worth like millions. It's like, damn, I guess we lost the RNG of when we were born. Damn. I was like, Jesus. Hell, it took me forever just to finally convince people that drawing was an actual job. Despite, you know, animation, comic books, and anything else art-related existing before then. It's like, I'm all like, you guys know that animation exists, right? Or art exists. It did just happen. But then again, you'd be surprised that a lot of people do not consider art as a job. It's like, if you're not outside sweating or building a building, then it's not a job. But it took me, like, what? I don't know. I want to say 20... maybe 2018? Before me drawing was being taken seriously. Despite me always, you know, telling people, I was like, hey, I can't do this, I gotta work or whatever, I gotta draw. And they're like, oh, it's just drawing, it shouldn't take that long. I'm like, motherfucker. And that leads into the whole, like, people... Because, like, obviously it takes forever to draw something depending on what it is. Like, if it's something easy, yeah, sure, you can maybe bust it out in, like, I don't know, 20 minutes to 3 hours, depending on what it is you're trying to do. But then there'll be situations where it's like, you know, this is going to take 8+ hours to make or whatever. And that falls into the whole logic of, like, oh, I can't believe you draw this risque content, and like, oh, you just draw this because you're a pervert, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, do you know how long it takes to make this kind of shit? Do you know, like, because anytime you see like hentai and stuff like that, do you know how complicated it is to make like the poses and stuff like that, the details, like the highlights and stuff, like especially when you're doing like, you know, cum and stuff like that, like all of that detail. Do you know how long it takes to actually make that shit? And people just think we just busted out to just to be perverts over it. It's like, motherfuckers, like, you are not thinking at all when it comes to how much time and effort it takes to make this stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's like hentai and like other artwork that people are willing to pay for, commissions and stuff like that. I mean, that's just modern day buying like fine art and stuff like that. Sure, it's not going to be in a museum. I mean, it's not in the normal museums. You might have museums dedicated to hentai and stuff like that. But it's like, damn, people are willing to pay for it, thus it is a job. That's all there is to it. And so what if it's horny? It's like, you're an adult, you can buy whatever the hell you want. And then before, people are like, oh, well, you know, we don't want to expose our kids to this. Okay, one, I agree. You don't want to expose kids to this. And two, if you don't want to expose kids to it, you might want to pay attention to the shit that they're on the internet. Because if they're seeing it, that means you didn't do your job. That's all there is to it. Because as long as the artwork in sections of the internet where you can find that kind of artwork are properly labeled and placed and whatever else that requires effort for a child to access, as long as they are properly done, then there should be no problem. But if you're a dumbass, it's just gonna allow your kid to venture out on the internet unsupervised. And sure, obviously, you can't be there for everything. I 100% agree. You can't moderate every single thing they do. I mean, look at us. We eventually found risque content at a young age. At least some of us have. I know I did. I found risque content at a very young. Well, I don't know if very young is true, but like 12, I guess, would be considered very young. But I found that stuff, but I understood the differences between you know, real, fake, and I understood what I was looking at. Like, it wasn't stupid. Nobody had to explain to me what I was looking at. I already figured it out. And then I just treated it like anything else. Like, okay, this is adult content. Fine. And then I moved on. I didn't like go like, oh god, I gotta look at this and, you know, jerk it or whatever. Never had to do that. It was just normal artwork to me. But that's probably just because I'm in the whole art mentality. So it could be different for other people, but at least in my case, I just saw it as, oh cool, it can be drawn this way. And then moved on with my life. If anything, weight gain art probably ruined me more than regular risque artwork. Like, if we're gonna be specific here. And then some of this stuff shows up in cartoons, so it's like, what do you mean? Either you police the stuff that you don't want your children to see, or you shut the fuck up because if you complain, you failed as a parent. It's like, oh my god, my son saw this, and I'm like, yeah, and where the hell were you? It's like, I was at work. Well, unfortunately your kid saw it. Now it's your job to sit down and talk to them about it, so that way they understand what it is they're seeing, make sure that you don't want them to see it anymore, and if you find out they get in trouble and blah blah blah, you know, parenting, and then whatever other decisions you need to make to properly take care of the situation. That's all there is to it, really. You just do what you can and be there when they need you. Like, it isn't hard. Hell, making sure they do schoolwork is harder than that. Let me go up a bit. I know I've missed a bunch of stuff. Many uneducated lads parrot being told art is subjective, but goddamn, art is a lot of objective methods and facts to learn and understand exactly. I like tits, but why would I accept low quality tits? Exactly. When parental controls don't mean jack when the parents have no control over themselves. Exactly. Like, everything, like, there's a lot of websites and operating systems that have parental controls. You know damn well your parents have never touched those things. I know parental controls have existed for decades, and I don't think my mom has ever used them ever once. Like, even one time. I know they exist, because I've seen the option, and I've even messed around with it for a bit, and then turned it off myself, because I was the one that was messing with it. But never once did my mom ever use it. Hell, my mom let me watch Spawn at the age of 10. And she sat there and watched it with me. And okay, and the only reason why she even knew what Spawn was because of me finding a toy at a garage sale based off of a comic that my mom's friend's neighbor had. Because she had like a neighbor kid, and he had Spawn. And that's like my first exposure to Spawn. And I thought Spawn was cool because I liked the way he was designed. Didn't see any of the mature stuff until later, when I bought a Spawn comic book, or I think I got that after I saw the cartoon. But like, my mom randomly saw the cartoon on HBO and told me about it, and then that's how I watched it, because I sat and watched it with her. And then anytime like mature stuff happened, like, you know, seeing tits and stuff like that, she would tell me to turn around, and I would. And there was times when I would turn around when she was asleep. She had fallen asleep watching it with me. And out of respect, because she'd always told me to do so, I turned around when the stuff came on. Then there was a point where I just stopped caring, and then when I did see those scenes, I was just kind of like, meh. It's like nothing more that I hadn't seen already, because I already had like one of the comics and stuff like that. But even then, it was just like, okay, my mom did her job. She was being a parent. She was there supervising me as I watched the show and stuff like that. There's a lot of violence and stuff, but she made sure I understood that this was all fiction. And then there we go. It wasn't hard at all. Oh, Clown was cool. Too many adults are just overgrown children themselves. Which is fine, it's just, you know, be responsible when you have to. Like, don't blow all of your money on fucking Disneyland when you have rent to pay. Kids know more about how to use those functions. Yeah, exactly. Exposure via mood. Yeah, exactly. I can see kids on their own parents use it on their own parents too. Like parents ground their kids for something. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like my mom did her job to try to supervise whatever I was exposed to throughout the years. Obviously, she couldn't be there for everything, but by the time it even mattered, I was already fully aware of how to handle it. Like I think I grew up at the right time and place where when those things started to become easier to access and more common and stuff like that, I was already in a situation where I understood, how to react to it. And I think the biggest part was just, understanding fiction and reality, obviously from just typical cartoons like Tom and Jerry and stuff like that, like the basic stuff. And it wasn't like complicated or anything. It was just, hey, this isn't real. Obviously, you can't, throw a knife at somebody and they'll be okay. Like, didn't take much to explain that, which, oddly enough, some parents do struggle with this in today's day and age. Or refuse to teach their children anything because they don't want a parent. Like my mom even did the whole, like, when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out, and it had the hot coffee thing, which was a function of the game that you couldn't even see without hacking it anyway. But because she heard about it, she didn't want me playing the game. Even though my neighbor had it. My neighbor already had the game, we played it and all that, but she tried. Like, she did her job and tried. But my neighbor had it, so I played a little bit of it, and I didn't even care because all we did was just run around the place just shooting up the cars and stuff like that. We didn't even play the main story. And then again, the thing that she was worried about anyway wasn't even actually part of the game. Like, it's in the game in terms of, like, the animations and stuff like that, but you can't normally see it without hacking. So the thing that she was worried about wasn't even possible for me to see without hacking. Which none of us had the tools to do that at the time anyway. Because all my neighbor had it for was PS2. So unless he had a Game Shark to do that, it wasn't happening. I grew up watching Adult Swim, playing games like Duke Nukem 3D. Trust me, my parents were nowhere through those. Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's just and again, like, people assume that kids are just straight up stupid, and to be fair, that is a good chunk of the majority. Sure, I'll give them that. But some kids can, function without parenting and understand, how to handle these situations. But again, you gotta be there to guide them through it. Like, you gotta not always assume that kids are 100% dumb and that they can't do anything without somebody being there. But you also have to be there to explain shit. Like, you can't just let them coast around thinking something is real or something works a particular way. You gotta guide them through it when necessary. And then if they do come across something they shouldn't be coming across, then that's your job as a parent to decide whether or not it's okay. And if it's okay, you gotta make sure they can handle it. Like, it's like kids looking at, Digital Circus, Hell of a Boss, and all the other shows like that. It's like, I'm like, okay, you guys know this is not for kids, right? At least not initially. It looks like it is, but it's not. But I had already had, like, my friend's daughter dressing up as Pomni and stuff like that, and then watching Hell of a Boss, and I'm just like, well, as long as you know what she's watching and how to explain this shit to her when something mature comes up, then there we go. That's all I can say. Sometimes they would ask me a few questions here and there, and I would just explain, it's about this, blah blah blah. No, this isn't bad. Yes, this is a little bit bad. No, you're not going to see, like, full-on sex or you know, come and stuff like that. Although Hell of a Boss has gotten close to that a few times. But other than that, it was pretty much tame. At least by the standards that they were looking for. By my standards, I didn't give a shit. I was like, whatever. This is nothing to me. But I had to make sure that it was according to their standards. Alright. Just fucking around with this background for a while now. Yes, exactly. The 20 bucks per episode. Yeah, exactly. Alright, so let's do this. But yeah, it's like, if you're gonna let your kid watch mature content, you need to be there to make sure they understand what it is they're watching, and the context and stuff like that, and explaining like, hey, this is not how relationships actually work. You don't, you know, go and blow up somebody's work because they rejected you or because they're seeing somebody. You don't go and do that shit. This is not how you talk to a person in real life, you know, that kind of stuff. Just explain properly. I know, I'm kind of going in circles at this point. But you'd be surprised how many people just simply don't do these easy to do things. And then wonder where they went wrong. And it's like, gee, do you need a list? Okay, I think we can turn this back up. Turn that on. But yeah, unfortunately it's because of dumb parents that stuff like, oh, everything needs to have ID verification is a thing. Because they're too fucking lazy to be parents now. And you know it's like more of the modern parents, because our parents at least made some attempts here and there. But then of course you're gonna have the ones that just don't want to do their damn job. And then we all suffer for it because of their dumbass. It's like, let me get this straight, because you're a fucking lazy ass and you didn't watch little Timmy go on to Rule 34, now we all gotta suffer. And then of course you'll have the types of parents that are like, oh, you'll understand when you have children. It's like, bitch, it does not take that much effort to understand that you're an idiot. And that you just did not properly parent your child. Yeah, exactly. PG means parental guidance, and people forget that. They just see the letters and the number and be like, oh, you gotta be this age and that's it. Like, it's like, they could be whatever age they want to be, or you allow them to be to watch the material, but it's up to you to guide them through it. Literally the whole point. Cover excuse to developing the stove. I mean, it's a little bit of column A and column B. Like, they just used it as the Trojan horse as the reason to start doing all this shit. It's like, okay, everybody's really stupid when it comes to children. We'll just use that as an excuse to start doing more surveillance in IDs and stuff like that. Because everybody knows that if you throw the word child in front of everything, people will immediately crumble because they don't want to be that person that says no, this is bad, and make it look like, oh, so you don't wanna protect children. And it's like, that's not at all what I said. But we just need those people. We just need the right people to have the balls to stick up for privacy and, you know, secure, mature content and stuff like that. It's like, we have so many restrictions over things that don't need to be restricted that heavily. Because the answer is very simple and easy, but there are just too many lazy people that don't want to do their damn jobs. Yeah, the thing of the children thing was already. I mean, even my mom knew that shit was bullshit already. Like the moment it was starting, and I told her about it, she's like, "Yeah, that's bullshit." Like, we already know that it has nothing to do with children. It's just them using that as a term to get people to do what they want. Yeah. And then some of them are paying for it, where it's like, wait. So now I can't write that somebody is dumb on Twitter and they're gonna get arrested for it? And it's like, yeah. Some people wanted it, a lot of people didn't. And unfortunately, their government said fuck you and decided to pass it anyway. So let that sink in. And I already know this looks like shit, so let's fix it. There we go. Much better. We vote overwhelmingly against these things. And it's like, oh yeah, I hate that. It's like, what? It's one of those situations where you can clearly see that everyone's voting against something, and then they say, oh yeah, we hear you, and then they pass it anyway. It's situations like that that make you think that voting is 100% rigged, and that we have no actual choice. It's one of those situations where it's like, go ahead and vote for what you believe in, and just pray that the outcome goes in the right direction, regardless of the sides. Because it's like, both, like at least in America and all that, you know, you have like Republicans and Democrats, and then whatever third party, I don't know, Raccoon, and like, we'll never know if it's rigged unless something comes out to 100% state show that, or prove that it was rigged. But regardless of the case, even if it is rigged, you're just better off voting for whatever it is you believe in, and then just cross your fingers and fucking pray that life goes on without everybody being royally fucked. Because that's all we have at that point. Because unless we have like some kind of countrywide revolt and pray that other countries don't get into a fucking world war, because apparently that seems to be the only goddamn thing everybody else can do. Is just, can we make enough money? Oh, these people are poor, poverty, and then war, and then I guess porn. That's kind of it. That's like life. It's like that's all we have, and it's shit. Because it's like, oh, this country's gonna go to war. It's like, why? Why do we need to go to war? Explain. Explain that why I gotta fucking sit here and worry that prices for food, gas, and whatever else are gonna go up because some dumbass decided, hey, you know what? Let's fire missiles at these group of people when we have no business fucking dealing with it. And this is like either country, like it doesn't matter what country at this point. It's like, why? Why is this my problem? I don't care about the belief system. People can believe in whatever the fuck they believe in as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. I don't care. I want to know why it's my problem. Hello, hello. Hello, Pablo. I know. Trying to stream on both YouTube and Twitch now. I'm trying. Trying to get things off the ground. It won't be perfect, but I'm trying. But yeah, like I guess for me, at least for me personally, it just boils down to I am annoyed that I have to deal with everybody else's bullshit when my path in life is very, very, very simple. It's just, hey, what do I want to do with my life? I want to draw and make comics. And, you know, make enough money off of drawing to not care about money. Like, I don't need to be rich. I just need to be well off enough to, you know, survive and every once in a while buy something to entertain myself. That is it. That is the extent of my thought process. But unfortunately, I have to worry about everybody else's bullshit. I have to worry about, you know, things like AI getting rid of jobs or making processors and graphics cards and computers and other stuff more expensive. So if anything happens to my computer and I need to get a new one, it's going to cost me a fucking arm and a leg or whatever else to make that happen. I gotta worry about, you know, content being censored because dumbass parents can't watch their children. I gotta worry about, you know, streaming services having the same issues, but because, again, dumbass parents. And then dumbass people voting for shit that they don't understand, assuming that their votes even mattered to begin with. Where it's like, oh no, I don't want this. It's like, motherfucker, that was giving you freedom. Why are you voting against it? So yeah, I gotta worry about everybody else's dumbassery when all I need to worry about, realistically, is how big Jam's ass has to be. Like, that should be my only concern right now, is how fat do I need to make her ass. And yet, this is the problems I have. Oh, you've been streaming too? That's good. I would totally vote for a raccoon. Look, if a raccoon somehow ended world hunger and gave us world peace, and everybody was not wealthy, but just, you know, able to live off of fucking minimum wage. If some entity told me that if we all voted for a raccoon, that would happen, I would sing its praises. I would, whatever. If it was like by some fucking weird ass religion or something, I'd be like, hey guys, I'm voting for the raccoon religion because of X, Y, and Z. And here's all the proof. Blah blah blah. If somebody told me that was going to be the case, I would do everything humanly possible to make sure that happened. I know realistically, like, okay, realistically, if that did come out as a thing where a raccoon could make all that happen, you know damn well nobody would vote for that raccoon because it would go against their own belief systems of the other parties and stuff like that. You know that they would not do it. That's the sad part. Somebody could tell you that there's a 100% chance that we would be better off with a raccoon, and everybody in humanity would not vote for it. That's the sad reality of that. That's the sad part, is that it would not happen realistically. Jam's ass can always be fatter. Just take all the stupid problems in the world and feed them to Jam. I wish I had that power. Where I'd be like, yeah, let's just take all the problems in the world and make him put it all into Jam's ass. She'd be like, Jesus fuck. And like her butt gets smaller as the bad problems go away, type of thing. But initially, it just makes her ass fat. That'd be funny. But yeah, if we were given the, like, we could be given a button that would solve all of our problems, but you know, some idiot would, or a large enough group of people would find reasons to say no, and that's what would fuck us over. Jam for World Empress. Like, even if aliens were real, why would they want to deal with this? They look at our planet and go like, yeah, no. And just peace the fuck out. And would you blame them at that point? It's like, aliens looked at this planet, saw all the bullshit, and it was like, yeah, no. They just put us on a list to avoid. So anytime people say, like, oh look, aliens exist, it's like, no. They put us on a blacklist ages ago. They are not dealing with that shit. Rabbit, duck, god bean. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah. And even if aliens were proven to be real, I mean, obviously they had some form of alien has to exist out there in the universe. Would they come here? I personally don't think they would. Because why bother? And two, even if they have like super advanced technology, the odds of them taking us out are extremely high, and it's bullshit that we even have any of them in captivity. Because they're like, oh, you know, they crash land. Like, why? Why and how? How did they crash land? They were able to get here. How did it fuck up? There's no way in hell that happened. Especially every time you see like footage of them just like zipping away really fast. I'm like, yeah, you're telling me that we managed to get that? Bullshit. And then they always have to be like humanoid and like just gray shape with big black eyes. It's like, so you're telling me there's no cockroach aliens? We don't have giant blue fox women aliens out there? You're just gonna tell me it's always gonna be the same ones over and over and over? This is why I don't believe in shit, because it's way too orchestrated. It feels very basic and cliche that I'm just like, look, unless I see it immediately directly in front of me, I don't care whether or not it exists. If it doesn't benefit me right the fuck now, then I don't care. Blast our radios into the void 24/7. It sent them a golden disc with nudes on it. By the time it gets there, it would either be like, it would be millions of years old, because we'd all be dead by the time it gets to anybody. Or whatever objects we send into space would probably be destroyed by decay or freezing or whatever else. Probably gets sucked into the sun or hit by an asteroid. I mean, I'll take the chance and try. Sure, fuck it. But it wouldn't matter in our lifetime. They do the South Park thing, record our stupidity for entertainment. Yeah, you know what? That sounds more believable than everything else. They just saw what we were doing and were like, hey guys, check this out. And they all grab a beer and just watch us being fucking idiots. It's like, hey guys, look, they figured out AI and they fucked it up. Like, what did they do with it? Well, first they let go their entire workforce. I guess they're using up all their water. The AI is fucking them over. The AI deleted their company's data frame. AI says there's 3 R's in the word people. Might want to fix that. And they realize that AI costs way more than it does to hire people. Yeah, didn't quite work that out, did they? Do they have the sex bots yet? Like, no, they don't have those yet. Wait, how do you have AI and no sex bots? I don't know. They haven't gotten there yet. That's probably going to be like season 863. Let's be honest, they're probably on like season 1200 something or 300 something at this point. And then of course you have the people that just do stuff because they heard it sounded good. They don't look up any information about it or anything, they just heard about it and then pick it anyway. It'd be like putting a gun in front of somebody as one option, and then the bullets as the second option, and they'll always pick the gun without the bullets. And you're like, you need the bullets first. Like, what's the point of getting a gun if you have no bullets? And vice versa. It's like, well, at least with the bullets I can chuck it at somebody. Yeah, I can chuck the gun. Yeah, but I have more bullets, so I can chuck the bullets more times than you. While the world is a circus on fire, much more manageable stress is not taken. Yeah, exactly. But again, this is why I just stick to my own lane and just, you know, whatever makes sense to me, of course I'll try to operate accordingly. But my stance on life is just like, look, I just want to draw fat booty women. or fat women. Or Rule 34, whatever. Or furry shit, like whatever the hell. I just want to draw that and survive. I really don't want to deal with everybody else's nonsense, please. Thank you. Alright, this should be enough for that. I'm gonna try to get it somewhat technical. Drink some water. You forgot about the ads on Twitch, didn't you? There's your trade-off. It's like, do you want the 30-second lag on YouTube with no ads, or potentially no ads, depending on whether or not you have that on your browser, or do you want to deal with the ads on Twitch? Let there be a race of alien jams out there. You know what? I would be fine with that. They would come in different colors like Yoshi's. That'd be great. Just tall, big booty reptile women that are just horny all the time. It's like, you know what? That would not be a bad trade. You can still get ads midstream on YouTube. Good to know. Because I don't know what the stream looks like when I'm streaming. Because I don't want to have the double feedback. Yeah, that's true. Expectation aliens would be disappointed in us. Reality. Look at the struggles on that one. I know, they just be like terminology that fucking Rick and Morty come up with. Like, look at the struggles on that one. It's like, fuck. Okay, let's do this. I should probably save. That would be a smart thing to do. I had gone an hour and 40 minutes without saving. But yeah, if alien women just look like Jam, I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, huh, I guess I got that one right. Stop forgetting to save, I know, right? Smash. Exactly. The 7-foot, the 7-foot pear-shaped reptile woman who's horny. And if they don't understand Earth mannerisms and gestures, that's just a bonus, because then you'll just teach them wrong on purpose. Like, oh yeah, when I get home from work, you're supposed to suck it. And she's like, oh, okay. Fuck it, I should just make a story about a character that does that. Because I do have alien characters, so I should just use one of them for this exact discussion. It's like, fuck it, let's just make a comic about that. Just an alien that doesn't know anything. And watch as other characters try to ruin it by trying to teach her correctly. And the main character's like, guys, shut up. It's like, stop ruining this. It's like, you're being an asshole. You're teaching her bad stuff. Like, she's fine. I take care of her. This is the least you can do. And then, of course, you'll have the characters that are trying to be like, oh my god, you're being sexist, or blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is funny. And then the very end should be the reptile woman being like 100% fully aware that everything was done incorrectly. But she just did it on purpose because she liked it. And then you find out that she's like way more perverted than the main character. And he's just like, whoa. Or like, from her perspective, all the stuff he's telling her is like considered more perverted than the stuff that she's actually doing. Space Jam, super religious and super big, but they talk your head off about it. I mean, nothing wrong with it with a big booty religious person. That's why nuns are hot. It's like, come on. All I hear is a win-win. If there is any negatives, we'll figure it out. Men are smart, we'll figure it out. But I don't think anyone's gonna say no to a 7-foot-tall, big-booty reptile woman that's religious. Like, even adding in religious doesn't really make it a deal breaker. So that's the Space Jam they told us about years ago. It's like, that's the Space Jam I've been waiting all my life for. And you have the guy like, what? Excuse me, sir. No, you haven't. Or even funnier is like if like, let's just say you have like a race of alien women or men, whatever, and they just have they're just tall and they have like incredibly large assets, and they just think it's cute where humanity just keeps hugging up on them and all, and they're just like, oh, look at this one's really cute, like this one keeps squeezing my whatever they name their breasts. We'll just call them florgans. They keep squeezing my florgans. It's like, this is cute. It's like, this one's sucking on my blah blah blah, and it's like, huh, interesting. It'd just be more comedic until we like understand more about them, and they understand more about us. It's just gonna be humor the entire fucking time, and it's probably better that neither of us understand. I think the part that would be confusing is spanking. That'd be the part that'd be confusing. Because unless they understand English, and you can properly explain why you would smack their fat ass, that might be a moment of conflict. if food is easy, like if you could just give them like candy and stuff, and it'd be perfectly fine for them to eat and all that, then that would make things easy too. As like a gesture. Oh yeah, I still need to put in the texture there. Do that afterwards. All I can say is we are living in a weird timeline. And right now, our timeline does not have sex bots and cat women. And I feel we have failed as a society and species for not having those things yet. So we need to work on that. Yeah, spanking them is a marriage proposal. Just have like the most cutesy looking alien, and you just walking by, you just see them with the fattest of asses, like their whatever clothing that they've managed to put on is just struggling for all dear life. And you just can't help yourself, give them the biggest smack, and all of a sudden she thinks you're married. It's like, oh my god, he proposed to me. Yes, I will. And you're like, what? and then that's the story. That's like the hentai. I got married to a fat ass alien. That's it. And it's just a whole story about accidentally proposing to an alien because you smacked her ass. It's like, damn, woman, what's with that dump truck? Smack. We're married. What? and then it's where shenanigans come in. And you find out she has 6 other sisters with equally as big or bigger asses, and you're trying to not get fucking smashed into the ground by them. Done. 6 seasons. And then when it's over, you find out that she's pregnant. And then we have the spin-off where it's like, my fat ass wife is pregnant, and then does the whole pregnant finish. There we go. 3 seasons. You just proposed to our queen, but she's into it. And the mom is somehow the largest. Yes, exactly. The mom has to be the biggest one of them all, and the horniest. She's the biggest and horniest one of them all, but she's the one that the main character actively avoids at all costs, because he knows he is not coming back from that. And it'll be a running joke for several seasons until finally it happens. And then like he's trying to like make it so that the girlfriend or wife or whatever doesn't find out, and then she finds out and she's like, oh, that's normal. And then he's like, what? She was like 100% chill about it, and you're just like, what? And then the audience will be like, yo, she's into it. Fuck. See, the problem is that we're talking about this, and this only partially exists. I know there are manga and anime with this exact story, but it won't go to the distance that we're thinking. And that's the problem. This is why indie animators and stuff are a blessing. To a degree, because unfortunately, platforms like YouTube won't let us go the distance. We can only go about 3/4 of the way. So until there's a site that will allow mature content and allow us to get paid for it through advertisement or whatever, this will only remain a dream, or at least Patreon stuff, because Patreon allows it. So we can only partially get there, or we can technically get there with Patreon and all that. But I'm just saying, on like a mass, spreading it massively to a massive audience type of thing. But if we're just talking Patreon, yes, this is doable. Make America horny again, if right? What happened to that? We were horny in the 90s and early 2000s. What happened? I want to say things got weird after like 2016. After 2016, that's when people started getting like hypersensitive. I was like, what the hell is going on? It's like, oh my god, you said that? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, that's a slur. Like, so is everything else. And yet we're still saying it, so either pick one or don't. I remember there was this one animated movie where aliens get pregnant by kissing each other. And some comedy human dude. I might have seen something similar to that. I remember there was a hentai I came across where it was like some MILF basically keeping a I can't remember if it was her daughter or like a friend or whatever, but basically kidnapping her boyfriend and then just keeping him in her basement and then just breastfeeding him the entire time. I was just like, huh, this is a thing that exists. I probably have it on a drive somewhere, I don't know. It's been years since I watched it. How to sum up what happened to America? Gun is good, penis is evil. Zordis has spoken. No, it's Zoltan. From Dude, Where's My Car? We haven't stopped. We just keep it behind closed doors and then judge others for not being more open. Yeah, exactly. That's another problem. When making companies figure out what we spend our money. Yeah, that's the weird thing is that banks are 100% aware of what we spend our money on, and they literally do not care. They only care because they wanna appear to be family friendly. Like, banks should not be worried about that shit. They should be worried about whether or not we're gonna put our money into their accounts and all that. That is it. And then, doing investments and stuff like that. Same thing for advertisement. It's like, guys, do you know what people spend their shit on? And then it's like, well, we're trying to be family friendly. Guys, the people that want you to be family friendly are probably the most horniest people of the whole thing. They're it's always the case where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe you watch porn. And then they're the ones fucking jerking it off to like gay porn or some shit. And like the person's straight, but they're watching it anyway. Like, damn well that's what they're doing. It's always those type of people. And gay porn's great. Shit, I've watched that. I didn't give a shit. Curse you, PayPal, yeah. PayPal's weird. Because 1 minute they're cool with it, another minute they're not. Another minute they're like, no, fuck you, we're going to take your money. And then it's like, oh, we're sorry, here's your money back. And then it's just like a constant headache because it's like PayPal and like, Visa and MasterCard, and that's kind of it, really. It's like we're screwed until like a company that doesn't give a fuck, which is kind of what Subscribestar has, because Subscribestar, they were gonna start cracking down on mature content, but then everybody freaked the fuck out and they're like, oh, whoa, hold on, we're not doing that. And they're like, good, we don't need you fucking up. But actually I just realized what I need to do on that. But Subscribestar has a method of going through whatever bank that they're going through to allow the mature content. So right now Subscribestar is doing the right thing. Unfortunately, if they have issues with PayPal, that's when they'll have... Well, no, they already do have issues with PayPal. That's why they just send the money directly to you instead of going through PayPal, which is good. It's like, good, I don't need your bullshit, just send me my money. Yeah, they take a cut, but I'm willing to deal with that than to deal with the bullshit that PayPal makes us go through. And then if for some reason, somehow, it's like, hey, you can't sell mature content, I'd be like, alright, cool, I'll just sell the passwords. So all the mature content will be available in whatever way possible. They'll just be password locked. And like, all right, here you guys go. The password can be found. Like, I don't know. I'd be like, all right, the password's in Jam's ass. So on page 34, panel 5, you'll zoom in and see the number on her ass, on her left ass cheek. That's the password. There you go. I already have issues when I occasionally buy the limited sets you put. Oh, you do? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll have to try to figure out how to make that easier. It is available on Patreon, like the limited sets, but they're at a higher tier. They're in a higher tier. But the limited sets are definitely cheaper. But yeah, if you have to jump through hoops for that, I'm sorry. Christian John Doe spending $100 on gay porn. Yeah, exactly. They do that all the fucking time. Just process the payment processor. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not hard. I don't understand why we constantly make life harder than necessary. I don't know. People just want to see the world burn. Who is sending me messages? I would laugh if that was PayPal right now. I'd be like, oh fuck. It's like, oh fuck, they hurt me. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, yo, jeez, it, the cops. Oh shit. I almost fucked up on that, huh? Without thinking. Okay, put this up here. Now we do this. Switch this. Oh, that is barely dark at all. Oh, would help if I switch that setting. Yeah, exactly. It's like talking to us like, wait, this is gay porn, right? Yes. And I found this in your closet. Yeah. And this gay porn was in your closet, and you own this closet, correct? Yes. Well, by that logic, this must be your gay porn. Sounds about right to me. Then take your gay porn. It's not mine. Or it's like, ew, gay porn, I don't like it. And it's like, but it's yours, damn it. But yeah, ultimately, again, I 100% agree. You should not expose that stuff to children. I believe we all can agree to that. All I'm asking is just properly label the stuff, and then parents need to parent. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not even like a struggle to set up. It's just, hey, they're this age. You set whatever this is, like their computer, whatever, to only allow whatever is designed for their age. And then there you go. And then all the other people that make the content, all they have to do is follow the tagging guidelines. So if you're drawing something, if you're drawing a fucking hyper-dicked cow, man, alligator person that comes every 30 seconds, make sure it's under adult. That's all we're asking. It's like, it's not hard. Well, I mean, the cow, alligator, dick man is hard, but you get my point. Early cartoons opened the door. Yeah, early cartoons did a lot of shit. They weren't porn, but they did a lot of shit. I mean, Totally Spies alone. I mean, that series showed up later, but still, like, if we're just going off of shows like Totally Spies, that show alone was like every goddamn kink and fetish into one show. Like, good lord, that show was peak. That show was amazing, and it usually happens to Clover. Every once in a while, it would happen to the other characters, but most of the time it was Clover, because Clover was best girl, and definitely the company's favorite or the animator's favorite. Yes, and that's the problem. Passion Patties was what got you in the weight gain. I have no idea what got me into it, because it could have been like any old school cartoon that had episodes like that. Because every kids cartoon has a weight gain episode. Maybe not every, but like 95% of the time, there's a weight gain episode. At least one. Hell, Naruto has weight gain episodes. Building up over time from other shows. Yeah, probably. Viro's to blame. I have had people tell me that a few times, or people say like they may not like the weight game, but they like the characters, so that's why they keep sticking around and reading the story and stuff, which is good. If I can get people to stick around for stuff like this, then I've done my job. I need to fix that panel though, because that was supposed to be metal, and I completely forgot. But yeah, like all that stuff was in cartoons, and then it just gets expanded upon in like more serious cartoons or mature cartoons, and then fans just say fuck it and make their own content, and then usually those are the ones where, you know, the cuffs are off at that point, and then they go crazy, but they have to, like, you know, bar it under mature tags or on special sites and stuff like that in order to have the full experience. So that's usually how that works. But cartoons are definitely the starting point. It's cartoons and maybe like those live action kids shows where they do something similar. Maybe not to that level, but they always do like something goofy or bizarre. But that's probably like the lowest point. Like they probably don't, like you probably wouldn't even notice if they did it in those type of shows. But in the cartoons, yeah, definitely. Might depend on the level of cartoon, but it's usually the kind that are like, you know, Tiny Toons or Rugrats, Hey Arnold, whatever else. Like those tier, that kind of tier. Or even like the goofier stuff like Earthworm Jim, Care Bears, My Little Pony, Sonic the Hedgehog did it. That's the other thing. People are like, oh my god, I can't believe you drew Tails fat. And I'm like, yeah, they did it in Sonic the Hedgehog. What now? Yeah, Mario Sunshine with the Piranha Plant. Yeah, exactly. Viro's not who got me into furry fats, but I blame you for my love of extreme ass sizes. A Semipod I had early on and fell down the rabbit hole into a plus-size wonderland. Well, assuming you're not in a relationship, hopefully your partner will be a thick, big booty person. Be into that. Wake up in the morning to just a big fat ass. You like think, you just thank the heavens that you met somebody like that. You wake up, you're like, oh, thank God, it's still here. But yeah, it's amazing how often weight gain comes up in media. Because it's either big tits, big butt, fat characters, or weight gain for like momentary stuff where a character gets fat and then they do whatever to get skinny again. Those four, Vor comes up a lot. Mind control comes up very often. What else? Transformation. That comes up often. Usually it's turning into an animal, but then you'll have the cases like The Little Mermaid where they turn human or something. What else? Sometimes turning into a robot. That one comes up every once in a while. I don't know if that's considered transformation or like brain or swapping brains or something. It could be either or, I guess. In Sonic the Hedgehog, it's transformation because you're being turned into a robot. But then there's times where you're stuffed into a robot and it operates you like that. And then there's the case with SpongeBob where he had his brain put into a robot body. So there's that too. Kind of like that episode of C-Lab 2021 where they kept talking about putting their brains into robot bodies. And then having nipples for boobs, or missiles for boobs. And call themselves Barbobot. First experience with my art wasn't even I had. It was Cool Creamville. Oh Jesus! Specifically the one where Jam feeds on Ret. Ah, that's the one that got you. That was a fun time. I regret nothing. I need to get back in the groove on a lot of stuff like that. Because there's so much more I want to do. Do I want to lower this at all? Should be fine this way. Alright, so let me fix this before I continue. Turn that off. Because this should be metal. The strength of 5, yeah, exactly. With the strength of 5 gorillas. I thought it was 10, but it could be 5. It's been a while since I've seen that episode. And they just spend the whole episode just talking about that. It's like, would you put your brain in a robot body? You'd have the strength of 10 gorillas. Like, yeah, and missile for boobs. And then there's like one was like, well, can I be like a cat robot? He's like, yeah, but then you'd have to be in the cat form. And it's like, all right, well, we're gonna have the robot uprising. So they kept just talking about like the uprising and shit like that. And I was just like, what the fuck is happening? Or the episode they kept talking about fucking grizzlebees. Or no, the episode where there was like a weird like phantom alien or something, and they thought that they had to get like really fat in order to avoid being killed by the alien. And so they strap themselves in a room and just start eating and getting really fat. And then the alien finds this fat kid and makes fun of him, and then decides to to peace out because the fat kid didn't like him or whatever, and then they spent like months or whatever inside that room getting fat, not realizing that the alien had left like ages ago. And it was just like a whole thing. See, it's shit like this that just solidifies why I'm into this stuff. Is like, look, it's not going away. There's too many cartoons that keep emphasizing this. And then, of course, the anime does this shit all the time. It was in C-Lab 2021. I forget the name of the episode, but it's the one where there's like a weird ghost alien that just roams around the labs, killing people. But then two of the characters trap themselves in one of the rooms and think that if they get really fat, that they'll avoid getting killed because the alien liked the fat kid. So that was it. Good times. I should watch that show again. C-Lab is great. Fucking love C-Lab. Then they did the same thing in fucking Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So yeah, almost every cartoon does this. I think I saw the boob missiles in an anime once. In fucking Marvel vs. Capcom, if you play as Roll and you transform into Hyper Roll, she shoots missiles out of her tits. This is a thing that she does. This is why I'm so flabbergasted by people cringing at all this stuff. I'm like, guys, where have you been? You were either born after the 90s, or you fucking rolled with this shit. You didn't give a shit. Because either you were born after the 90s or you didn't give a shit. And if you were born after the 90s and you just happened to fucking come across this content and not fucking lose your goddamn mind, then you have a good head on your shoulders. And that's kind of it, really. Because after that point, it's like, guys, why are we freaking out for? If you don't like it, then don't look at it. It's simple. But of course, Predator Season 1, that was what it was? Okay. Yeah, C-Lab was great. Or what was it? Was it Kimba the White Lion, or it was another lion cartoon? But there was like a cartoon where I want to say it was Kimba the White Lion, but they were all in a hot air balloon, and it had like a whole bunch of food and stuff. And so it was like Kimba and a bunch of his friends, and then they were trying to lighten the balloon so they could fly higher or something. And so they got the genius idea of eating all the food, so that way the balloon would get lighter, not realizing that all they did was just put the food somewhere else. And so they were all fat with the from eating and like tripping out over what to do. And I was like, guys, this trope is as old as time, and it's not going away. So I guess that's why I'm just confused when people freak out about these kinks and fetishes and other gimmicks that appear in media, because it's like, guys, this is not a... Because like some people will automatically assume it's just like a fetish thing, and it's like, no, it's not. Most of the time it's for comedy. At least when it comes to weight gain, most of the time it's comedy. Yeah, sure, you can use it as kinks and stuff like that and a fetish, but it just depends on the context. But yeah, I'm like, guys, this shows up in everything. With all the ancient statues of like the fraternity women and stuff like that, and just like thick body women with all those statues and stuff. You're telling me this isn't normal? It's like, look, the ancients figured it out. Hell, Egypt just has furries. They worship furries. Like, come on, what are we doing? I think that's what makes it funnier for me. It's like you'll see a bunch of people freak out over this stuff, and I'm just looking at all the times that it's been normal. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe they have people thinking that they can be fat and be okay. I'm like, well, it's been fine all this time. You're the one that's freaking out over it. And sure, obviously, in a realistic sense, you know, health-wise, yeah, if you're gonna be fat, you better understand the plus and minuses of that. But if people want to do that to themselves, that's their own choice. Obviously, forcing their mentality on others is a whole other thing. But yeah, just, you know, you do you. Like, I ain't gonna stop you. I don't care enough. Just don't make it my problem. Egyptian Goth Becky cop out. See, we came full circle. One having once drank an entire river, once a bruise, thinking it was blood. Segment, probably. Is there any kids games that scare me? None that I can think of. There are kids games that have like creepy moments that I'm aware of, but none that scare me specifically. Like, not in a, like, oh my god, I can't play this game, it's too scary type of thing, no. Okay, did all that. Kind of treating the background as like another character, which is why I'm going through all this shading. It's just going to be difficult when I get to the harder stuff. I'm trying to make it not suck. It's like, all I can do in art is just try my best to make sure this thing doesn't suck. That's the best I can do for the time being. I still need to do the other part of the background. Now that I think about it, in Fable, there's a mission, or there's like a statue thing that, because there's like these statues where if you meet their requirements, they open up and you get like loot and stuff like that. There's one statue in particular that will only open if your character is fat. And so you have to make your character be like pretty well-rounded for him to open up. And I always thought that was funny. I was like, no way is there a fucking mission where I have to get fat. That's just fucking funny. And like his dialogue just makes it even funnier because he's always like, "Ah, look at you, plump and jiggly and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay then." I'm like, "So this happened." Yeah, the demon doors. That shit was funny. Donkey Kong Country's game over screen. It might have been the Donkey Kong Country 2, which was kind of fucked up, where you see them just like sit in jail in the sun, and then it turns red or whatever. I think that I wouldn't say it scares me, but that was pretty dark as a game over screen. And Vector Man 2, I believe, the game over screen for that one is where the main boss comes out and laughs at you, and then your character dies, like explodes into pieces. I I want to say there was something in Garfield, but for the Sega Genesis, but I can't remember specifically. I just remember the weird like TV boss that shows up, but it wasn't a game over screen. It was just like a transition to the next level. We can do lighting later. I just want to get the base stuff first. I'll likely finish this up off stream, but I wanted to at least get like the beginnings of this worked on during the stream. But I'll probably finish this up off stream once I'm done streaming. I'm not gonna stop right now, but I'll stop in like 40 minutes. But I like where this is going. I just gotta practice more with backgrounds. I don't practice them enough. Have I watched SML? What's SML? Sometimes you can't abbreviate things because so many other stuff could have those abbreviations, so you just gotta be more specific. Yeah, it's one of those situations where I'm gonna have to zoom in. Oh, that puppet channel. I've only seen like a few clips of it, but I never like watched it. But I am aware of it. I'm sure it's funny or whatever, but it just didn't click with me. Good. I'm glad you like her figure and butt. Because she likes it too, and Lord help me if she ever met me in real life. She was like, "Oh, glorious master who gave me my beautiful figure." I'm like, "You're welcome." And you're like, "Praise him." I'm like, "No, please, calm down, Jam. Just keep her away from churches. God knows we don't need her trying to correct religion." Huh. Neat. Oh, okay, that's why that works. I had to think about that for a moment. All of my OCs would probably, well, Becky would try to kick my ass for designing her the way I did. So there's that. Kitsune would probably kick me out of my bed because that's been a running joke. Viro would probably try to kill me because of lore reasons. And everybody else is up in the air. Does Hexiva know some furry gods? I mean, most of the characters in her world are furries, or quote-unquote furries, so yes. There's like a few human type gods, but that's about it. And then there's one masquerading as a person. This is true. She fully intends to kick my ass. She would figure out my phone number and send me text messages of her getting closer to my house. Like SCP 417. Is it 4171? Is that the one I'm thinking about? Or 1471? 1471? Did I say 1471? Yes, I did. Ah, yes, that is the one. Yes, 1471 is the one I'm thinking. So yeah, she would just do that, just sending me text messages showing that she's getting closer. I'm like, ah, hell. Hear a doorbell ring and I'm like, don't answer it. Let's fix this. Zoom out first. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, let me fix this. I don't like the way this looks, so let me fix it. Why would I warn you? Good point. She would just show up, realistically. Luckily, I have cameras, but still, that won't. At that point, it'd just be like playing Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm like, oh shit, she's on this camera. Then I hear her breaking in. We're like, fuck! Doesn't help that she has partial night vision. My only saving grace is that her fat ass would be making a lot of noise as she walks around and stomps up the stairs. But that's only gonna buy me like a few seconds. She won't kill me though, but she will definitely kick my ass. Alright. Oh yeah, I should probably do that. Viro. Give myself more water once the stream is over. Well, there's a gate on the door, so that might be slightly difficult. But, I mean, it's not like any other opening would be a problem. And this is all assuming that she even needs to travel to my house anyway. She could just, you know, be teleported through the goddamn computer screen and then I'm screwed. So, this is all assuming she even has to make any effort. She'd be like, what the hell? And then she's like, you! You're like, oh hell. Yes, she was built to beat ass. She was built to smash. Both literally and threateningly. Most OCs crawl out of the head first, but with her it's a flying dropkick. It'd be like that Markiplier meme with him jumping towards the camera about to punch it. That's basically Becky, but with a fucking kick. And probably have I Am the Storm That Is Approaching playing. Or whatever the actual name of the song is. I would just be hearing that as she just drop kicks out. Something of the Light, I forget what the full name was. You know what? Let's just not be dumb and just look it up. Yeah, Bury the Light. There we go. Okay, got all this. It's not perfect, but it's decent. Just means I need to practice more. I still need to blend the bricks, but I'll just do that later. Probably gonna try to do some lighting effects depending on what I do for the background. Because I want her to look like she's in like a city. There's a line from a FNAF animation that she probably used before charging him. Probably. Probably lines from Toy Chica or something. I mean, cool. If that's how your character functions, and sounds neat. Doesn't sound anything too crazy. Oh, yeah. 6 a.m. was funny. It's like, I can't find Freddy. Or, I can't find the guard. What do you mean? The guard's right there. That's Freddy. It's like, okay, how can there be 2 Freddys? Fuck this shit, I'm out. Quick, Gregory, get into my hole. Stop calling it your hole. It'd be the night guard. The night guard? I'm using Clip Studio Paint. Probably doesn't work this way, but fuck it. Need a way to distract her FNAF 3 style? I mean, FNAF 3, it's mostly hallucinations. But if we're just talking about the sound stuff, yeah, that could probably work. But it's Becky, she ain't gonna be fucking distracted by that. No. I'll have to take my lickings. But then after she kicks my ass, we'll chill. Probably get something to eat. Like pizza. That'd be fun. I imagine that's exactly how that would play out. She kicks my ass and then we go get pizza and alcohol. That would be the best case scenario. Bribe her with booze. The strong. I know, right? I was like, well, we got buzz bombs and whatever else in the house. Here, you can drink that if you don't kick my ass. I'm just like, fine. Then her drunk ass would be passed out on my bed. We're like, Becky, get off my bed, and she'd be snoring. And we're like, What do? Do I sleep in bed with Becky or do I go sleep on couch? Chance it with the bed. Then I would just be crushed by her fat ass. Worth it. That'd be Jam, but when she does it, it'd be by accident. She would just sit down, not thinking about it. It's like, I'm terribly sorry, mortal. It's like, are you okay? And you're like, yes, I'm fine. Or if you had to like share the house with Jam, you'd be trying to walk through a hallway, and she takes up pretty much the entire hallway as she's walking down, and you try to get past her, but she just smushes you. She's like, sorry. You're like, no, you're good. You're fine. Okay. Pretty much got most of what I'm looking for. There's still a lot to do. Still need to get the far background and all that. But this isn't bad so far. Let me zoom in 100%. Just go over here. Blur. Just do 6%. Doesn't matter. Alright, got that part. Just keep going down the rabbit hole, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Someone tried to explain the concept of face sitting. Good lord. Oh yeah, wake up with a horse print on. Yeah. Just kidding. I watched the Mario Berserk video. It's one of those things where it's like if you didn't grow up with the Mario games, then you weren't gonna get it. Because like there's always like kids watching a bunch of stuff that's popular, but they don't understand why it's popular or why people like it. And most of the time, kids that age, like the young age and all that, just are just kind of sheep, and they just go like, oh, have you seen this? It's really cool, blah blah blah, but they don't get it. They just think they get it. And then of course you have the old heads who grew up with that stuff, know exactly what they're looking at and why it's funny. Or the Mushroom Kingdom rock metal song. Like that shit was funny. Good times. It's like, I get it, I don't get it. Alright, how am I doing this? This is why I try to avoid this shit. It's like, I don't wanna, but I'm gonna do it. There's probably easier ways of doing this too. Hold on. Let's try this. Just get in the basic shapes and go from there. And then it's one of those situations of how much do I blur and stuff like that. There's so many layers to this. And some layers are lighter than others, and blah blah blah. Yeah. Guess I should. Technically, I guess that's fine. Just depends on how I go about it. I mean, it's all subjective and artistic, but it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to fuck it up. Even if it ends up looking good, you'll still think it's shit. That's me all the damn time. I guess I don't have to do that side, but I do need to do this. I don't know. It's one of those situations where I'm just overthinking it. Like, I know I'm overthinking it, but I can't help but overthink it. No thoughts, only but. Have you tried making a mountain-sized blob art before? Yes, I have. I don't particularly like... Okay, if we're talking about just flat-out art, then it's fine. But in terms of, like, part of a continuity, I don't like it because there's a point where it loses its ability to be realistic in the world that you make. Because, like, if you're like, again, I've explained this before when it comes to like characters that become like giant size. If they're able to like enter buildings without causing structural damage, then that's a problem. And then if you're trying to treat their world seriously, like if it's not like a comedy based story and it's actually supposed to be taken seriously, then you have to factor in how these places are rebuilt. How does, do characters pay for the damages and stuff like that? Like there's so much that has to be taken into account. And so I just get annoyed where you have stories that are supposed to be taken seriously like that, but then they'll do stuff where characters just ignore the logic of their own world. Like, even though there's like established rules and stuff like that, they just end up ignoring it. And so I get kind of peeved of that, because it's like, okay, you're telling me I'm supposed to be taking this seriously, but then you just have characters stomping around, destroying stuff. There's no repercussions for it. They can just enter, like, 1 minute they're entering buildings and just squeezing through the front door, and all of a sudden the building is like infinity height, like there's no ceiling. And then other times they're getting stuck inside buildings and they're causing structural damage because they're too big. And I'm like, okay, before you weren't big and now you're big, so are you big or are you not? It's those type of situations that bug me. Let's make another layer for this just in case. Yeah, exactly. It's just for fun. At least when, in my case, it's for fun. It's not to be taken seriously. And again, it's mostly because of the way people have used it that annoys me. And then, of course, there's like situations where um, you'll have like a world that seems to be, you know, pretty well structured and basic, but then all of a sudden they start throwing in like universal guardians and stuff, and it's like, oh, you know, we protect the blah blah blah, and then you just see characters just going through like the stereotypical tribal trials type of thing. But then I'm like, wait, you have characters that can literally move oceans and stuff like that. How the hell is a basic bitch trial supposed to be helping in that scenario? And then there's just other stuff that feels inconsistent. But again, this varies between story by story and artist and whatever else. So whatever I'm saying, just take it with a grain of salt, because I'm obviously not correct in everything or whatever. It's just my personal opinion of how certain stories are done. It's kind of like the whole, like with when artists do cucking, and it always gets to the point where the whole idea of cucking, where you have like, you know, the main person watching the scenario happen, it always eventually ends up with that character basically being phased out and only told about it after the fact, basically removing the whole point of cuckolding. And it's like, guys, that's not what cuckolding is. And then they try to like justify it by saying, well, I talk to people who are into that and they say that's what it is and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's probably because they're kissing your ass and just telling you what you want to hear, because they're your friends, and they'll just give you the go ahead anyway. But that's not what it actually is. At that point, if the other person's not participating, or, you know, not part of the whole event, then it's just flat out cheating. That's all it is. Like, it's not cucking at that point, it's just cheating. It's not impossible to have both smut and storytelling, but it's a fine balance. Too much smut will you weird out those. Yeah. That's why when I include that stuff, I try to balance it out as best as possible. But I'm not trying to like I don't use Marcy solely as the weight gain character for every weight gain scenario. Like, she's not just gonna be the character that shows up for every hot dog eating contest and there you go. There are other characters with their own stories and reasonings for their choices and stuff like that that I like to use. And I don't want to like shoehorn one of them into every single situation all the time, because then it just gets boring. It's like, oh, here's this character, and then it's one of those, and then again, it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, how big are they gonna get? Because there's going to be a situation where you have to reset them, or else you lose all the fun. Because if they're constantly getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter to the point where they literally cannot leave their home unless, you know, story shenanigans say so, then you're just at a point where the character becomes boring and it's just not a good time. So you gotta like spice it up with other characters, but then you gotta make it like work physically, or like work based on your world. You can't just ignore everything that happens in the world that you establish all the time, because then you'll get to a point where you write yourself into a corner where you'll say, oh, like for example, let's just say oh, only apples make Marcy fat, but then she eats an apple pie and doesn't get fat. And then you have that as a headache. It's like, oh, well, how come she didn't get fat when she ate X, Y, and Z? And then that's a whole other, you know, can of worms that you gotta worry about. So you just gotta be consistent. Like, you gotta be consistent, you gotta understand the layout of rules that you yourself have established. And then, if you plan on making something comedic, make it clear that it's for comedy and whether or not it's canon to your own world. And then also, just try not to have like plot holes and stuff like that. Like with the whole building being destroyed thing because the character's too fat, but then suddenly they're not, type of situation. But again, this is just my thoughts on the matter. It can be completely different for everybody else. And I know that I have consistency problems here and there that I try to work on. Let's do this. But that's one of the reasons why I made the Creamfield characters, just so they can do that kind of shenanigans all the time. And like, they're literally built to reset all the time. Have you watched the Dirty Fruit ad? People say is a Russian commercial. One of the weirdest. If I have, I probably don't think anything of it. It's not that big of a deal. The tricky part is people hear the thing like, oh well, never get such and such, when it's more nuanced, like if you do blah, make it consistent, the world's rules. Yeah. But again, it boils down to the type of story you're making. If you're trying to make it be taken seriously, then you have to pay attention to whatever it is you establish. If it's a comedy, then most of the time you can ignore it. But at the same time, if you make it a comedy and then later down the line you try to make it be taken seriously, then that's when the problems can come up. Because you'll be like, well, this happened, so why didn't this happen? It happened back then, so why is it different now, type of thing. Or even just like character consistency. It's like with Dragon Ball, how some characters were able to beat certain characters at one point in time, but then suddenly they can't, and like the difference is like so minor that it doesn't make sense on why that would be possible. Or this character's been around since forever, and then now they're suddenly not there anymore, and there's just like no dialogue, no lore, or if there is any, it's like barely excusable for why the character no longer appears, that kind of thing. Or power levels are bullshit type of thing, which they quickly got rid of at one point, but still, it's like you try to establish a number and then it becomes pointless once you get to a certain level of the story, where it's like, yeah, we had power levels, but then that started to not help at all. Yeah, power scaling was a mistake, definitely. It especially sucks on stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh!, where you have a character use cards that would never realistically be in their deck because there's just no point. Like Shun, for example, in Arc 5, there's a moment where he's going up against Sora, and he specifically has a card that was made for if any of his monsters got taken control, he would be able to steal it and then attack his opponent with it. And he's from a world where he fights the anti-gear archetype all the time. So most of the time their decks are built to try to go up against that archetype. And he goes up against Sora who does not use that archetype at all. And he has a card made specifically for a situation where one of his monsters would get stolen, and then he would take it back and use it against Sora. And this only happens one time, where he uses that card against Sora and gets his monster back. And then immediately when Sora has a rematch against him, Sora just beats him immediately. And it just makes no sense. It's like, why would you have this one card for this one scenario when you know the people that you're going up against never do this? Like, it's just super unrealistic for him to be using it. Marcy got X-Fat in part 72 of whatever, so why is she thinner here, bro? Why are we talking about the feet sin of... Yeah, like, if Marcy was in a comedy story where she is fat and then skinny and then fat and skinny, or she's bigger than a house, but then suddenly she's smaller than a one-story house, but she was, like, not able to fit into a two-story... Like, if we're doing that kind of shenanigans in a comedy, then it makes no sense to try to argue logic. But if we're like talking about stories that do make sense, that do have like established lore and context, then certain characters making specific actions is questionable. Like again with Shun versus Sora, it's like, why would Shun have this very specific card for a situation he's like 99.9% never going to interact with? Because realistically, that would just be a brick in his deck. That card would not help him in any other scenario. And again, when he fights Sora for the second time, Sora beats him. Like, no problem. And Sora just straight up says, like, yeah, I wasn't taking you seriously before. And I shouldn't have lost in the first place. And even if we were to believe that Sora wasn't trying, it still doesn't excuse why Shun would have an ultra-specific card in his deck. That's almost as bad as... Because I know in Duelist Kingdom, a lot of the cards that get created, most of them just come out of thin air. Like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, for example, because that card didn't exist without Kaiba doing polymerization and all that. But taking that into account, situations like the Dark Sage by Yugi making sure that Joey got time magic correctly against Dark Magician. Like, do you know how ultra specific that would have come up? And then I'm more surprised that they never made anything to make Dark Sage easier to play. At least for now. Like, there's a chance that they'll make him easier later down the line. But that was just like a literal one-time card that Yugi comes up with. But I mean, Yugi kind of did that a lot in Duelist Kingdom, where just a lot of bullshit happened. But that was because it was operating on D&D rules. But then there'll be just a lot of situations where characters just have cards that are in no way useful in their decks. It's like, why on earth is this card in your deck? Like, if anything, that card would have gotten them screwed over. But of course, you know, it's plot. So that's like the only real answer to this whole thing. It's like, well, it's plot. Screw the rules, I have money. Yep, pretty much. Yeah, and ultimately, yeah, it's just a show, it's just a comic, it's just whatever. no reason to take it that seriously. But you know, every once in a while you're trying to you're trying to understand the content to the level that it's being presented to you. So that's why you would get upset, because it's like, you know, you're trying to get into this thing and then they for some reason just bullshit you on the story and you're just like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. It's almost like in Breaking Bad when I don't know if this is spoilers at this point, so spoiler. Alright. If you don't want to hear what I'm going to say about this particular thing in Breaking Bad, then leave and then come back in like, I don't know, 30 seconds. Maybe like 2 minutes tops. But like the scene where Jesse realizes that he had gotten the what is it called? That little drug or whatever that he thought the kid got poisoned with and all that. When he realized that got lifted from his pocket and then put elsewhere. Like, there was no way he was supposed to, like, figure that out. Same thing for Hank finding the book with the message in the bathroom. It's like, of all the things for Walt to be hyper cautious about, and he forgets a book in the bathroom, it's like, come on, that's bullshit. Like, those two situations just wouldn't happen. But that's just my thoughts on the matter. If we're talking, like, how the characters were built up until that point, and you're telling me that that's their mistake. And it's like a mistake that doesn't even fit the character. It's like a passive mistake. It's like, oh, you know, people make mistakes. It's like this person was hyper fixated on a fucking fly being in a lab, and you're telling me he forgot a book? I guess that'll work. But yeah, it's one of those situations where it's really hard to bullshit certain things when you completely establish that a character would not make that kind of mistake. But again, that's just my thoughts on the matter. But that's what I try to pay attention to when I can. I just try to not make such obvious mistakes like that, if I can. Of course, when it comes to like earlier stuff in works, like, you know, you're just figuring shit out, you're gonna make those kind of mistakes. But when you're like already having something established, then that's when it becomes less believable. Why is this? Oh, okay. That's probably why. Once the others. I have no idea about that, at least I don't think. Oh yeah, the dream sequence with Nutty Professor. Yeah, I remember that. Actually, it would be more like this, wouldn't it? I guess this is something I should do last. Let me just remove that. Yeah, that's why Bibles are made for shows. You have like the show Bible where you at least get like the rough outline of each episode or each arc and stuff like that, and then you move on from there. So most shows have like a Bible. Me, I don't have that. I mostly just reread what I've made, so that way I'm like so that way I refresh myself on something I've done. So it's like, okay, in this page I established that Blake had a black eye, so she should have a black eye on this part of her face for the next few pages, or whatever the case may be. So, just gotta make sure I stay consistent on that. Oh, the Powerpuff Girl reboot. Yeah, well, the first reboot looked weird, and then the one that actually came out was just trash. Praise the Holy Bible. Okay, let's get this. This is so tedious. I can probably change the opacity a bit. Just do like 80%. See how that plays out. No, because then I gotta do that. Well, I could do the back one too. I just gotta make sure I cut it out properly. So this is gonna be at 100%. This is gonna be at 80%. Off for a moment. Whatever I end up doing, I gotta do effects anyway. There's other methods I can use for this, but I'm just gonna use the simple stuff for now. Most of the major things I've learned, I usually use it in the actual comics. Stuff like, why is this not showing up? Oh, that's why. Somehow that got selected. Stuff like this, I don't usually use all the advanced stuff on. He says this is about to do this. Doesn't matter, it's perfect. I just need it to be what I want it to be. Kiwi got hyper fat, then poof back to normal. The next time we saw her, she was sort of, yeah, because that was establishing that she can reverse Yorjadov's abilities, because that may or may not come into play later down the line for like other gods or demigod-like characters. And then we've already seen her outside of that scenario, so whether or not she's still fat in Plum's comic is still remain to be seen. Space Jam on the mind. I kind of think Fate can be a troublemaker, but... But yeah, it's just those situations that I try to keep in mind. And obviously, like, I'm not perfect. Sure as hell no, I'm not perfect. But it's just one of those things where, like, when I see it happen in another comic or, you know, fan stuff or whatever, I just try to keep it in mind for myself. Because it's better to learn from the mistakes than to just complain about it. And I know I bitch a lot, but I'm mostly just trying to make my point of things to think about, so that way it doesn't happen again. Or that I don't do something like that. At least, however way I intend it. And if I do something like that, do my best to either correct it or to take the situation and apply it properly to future scenarios. So yeah, I know I ramble a lot about nonsense. I just care a lot. I'm just passionate of the art. And I'm definitely passionate of maintaining art and not having it be censored and taken down and stuff like that. Especially when it boils down to stuff that isn't real. People freak out because they think it's real, or that it's somehow going to harm people in real life, and I'm like, guys, this is a fucking drawing. If you're letting a drawing dictate whether or not you're gonna wake up in the morning, then there's a problem. All we need is just have stuff being properly labeled, properly tagged, and put behind, you know, appropriate age walls, and then that's it. Anything else, anything more than that is people freaking out over nothing. Long busy stream. Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that it's already been over 3 hours. Art is like comedy, meant to challenge the status quo, whether it makes you feel good or bad, sick or horny. It matters whether you feel something. Yeah, exactly. It would be funny to see Jam playing basketball. It's funny enough because she does use something like a ball as an attack. So she might actually be good at it. But that'd be funny just to see Jam playing basketball, and then her siblings are like, damn, she's actually really good at this. But she's mostly a kicker, so soccer would probably fit her more. She ballin'. Fruit Squad. She must have powerful legs to carry all that. Well, she is a demigod, so she probably doesn't even notice the weight that she has. Because, I mean, eventually you're just going to get used to it. But yeah, I mean, obviously when they get fat in their respective comics, they act like they feel it and stuff like that. but that's mostly comedy. But yeah, I get to see Jam just waltzing around in like short shorts or short like sports shorts, and you know, you're just seeing all that ass wiggle and wobble as she struts through. The other players, whether they be male or female, would probably be like, "Damn, like look at all that," and then be amazed at how quick she is despite her thickness. One would assume the weight would be a problem, but she's like, nah. She's like, huh? Wait, what, wait? I'm trying to change up some of the buildings a bit, not make them so samey. What do you call a fruit, or what do you call a bowl? Nah, what do we call a pool the fruit cast hang out in? A fruit bowl. Nah. How can you lust after a god? Gods are meant to be worshipped, aren't they? I'll be damned before I let that ass be neglected, right? The world is weird. Because they tell us to praise things and blah blah blah, and when we do, it's somehow wrong. Or whatever else. Whatever nonsense that they come up with. Like, something is always going to be bad according to them, and I'm just like, can we like not? It's like, can we stop being stupid for like a week at least? And even if it was possible, you're gonna have that one person say no. It's like, no, it's my right to be stupid. And I'm just like, and this is why we're in this position that we're in. Because that is how reality works. Alright, so we got those. Yeah, it's like, I dare to be stupid. Like, it's my God-given right to be stupid. I'm like, okay. It's like, alright, don't complain when certain things happen. And of course they'll bitch and complain. They're like, why didn't you tell us about this before? And it's like, we did. You said you didn't care. That's why nothing gets done. Why does Plum have a dick? Because she wanted to have a dick. No other logic needed. She just wanted to have a dick. I mean, it technically depends, because, like, if we were to go off of, like, say, I forget which SCP it is, but it's the deer, and how they explain the logic with that thing, of how basically the rituals that they do to keep the deer from going outside of the area that they've made, the only reason why it works is because they've performed a pattern, and they built up a fake logic that it's following. And so that scenario only works because they're keeping it up. So if at any point they all decide, hey, let's not do this anymore, that's when they're fucked. Because then they decided to break the rhythm, and it allows the deer to leave. So they have to perform all of the ridiculous parts of the ritual every, like, few months or so to keep the deer from escaping, or else we're screwed. Because they acknowledge that it is a god. It literally does not need to do any of this, but it's doing it because we trapped it in a pattern. And the moment that we decide to get lazy is the moment that it escapes. So yeah, it's essentially that kind of logic. And now, play the questionable part of this. Will this work the way I want it to? It kind of does. Maybe lower it to like 80%. Just see if it applies to the others. Well, there's the deer, and then there's also the not deer, and the not deer is terrifying. Yeah, if you've ever listened to the deer SCP, that is a really good one. So if you haven't listened to that one, try that one out. But yeah, it's like they acknowledge that it's a god. It technically does not need to follow the rules that they're doing for the ritual, but because it has no reason to think outside of the box, it won't. And so as long as everybody is performing the ritual the way it's intended, then everyone's cool. Yeah, it's extremely costly and 100% ridiculous, but it's what's working. So it's like, don't fuck it up. It's literally that. It's literally like just like that. It's like, don't fuck this up. Let's try to do this smaller. So yeah, the deer is very interesting. Where is it? There it is. I'm like, where's the thing I'm looking for? Lower it just a little bit. So that's a 50. So this to like 60. I suppose realistically they'd be darker in the back, but whatever. Because of more buildings and such. And of course lighting. Could probably put some darker buildings, just see how that works out. But I'd have to erase some stuff. So let's just do this. That's fine. I just need to establish shape. Ah, right. Would have made sense if I did that. Do that. Select. There we go. So you look at the hoops I'm jumping through just for something like this, and people way more skilled than I make like very high detailed risque art, and people bitch and think that it's like, oh my god, I can't believe you do that. And it's like, do you know how much time and effort this went into? Like, just this picture alone was like 3 streams long. And yeah, some of it is me talking through it. But still, that's at least 9 hours just to get this far. Alright, take care. Have a good night. I'm about to stop in a moment. Like, this isn't done yet, but it's pretty much there. There's just probably like a few lighting effects that I'm gonna do to this. Yes, we can delete that. There we go. Alright. Let me just put these in a folder just in case I feel like messing with it more. Alright, so this is the picture so far. It's pretty much done, but I'm still gonna mess around with like lighting effects for the building. I might add in like some more detail for the background, like maybe like a sign or something here, just to help give off more lighting stuff. But yeah, I tried. I'm not great at backgrounds, so I need to practice more. Maybe do something a little bit more detailed for the front buildings, but other than that, it's basically the idea. But yeah, I'll mess around with this off stream just for some more lighting, but it's pretty much done. So once I'm satisfied with whatever it is I'm trying to figure out, then I'll post it in the morning. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. I don't think I'm gonna stream on Friday. I think I'm just gonna leave my Fridays open. But I'll try to stream again. Next week might be a little hectic in IRL because I have like personal stuff going on next week. But we'll see how everything goes. But if I'm able to stream out, then I will. But yeah, thank you again for coming, and I will stream again next time. All right, you guys take care.